All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er video on the 10 things to watch for during Niners and Raiders joint practices in Las Vegas. But first, let's mention Pig and a Pickle, our title sponsor. Check them out. 2 locations, Corte Madera and Emeryville. They're open from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. or until they run out in both spots. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in Northern California. Get the brisket chili, the pulled pork. It's all amazing. Go say hi to Damon. Go say hi to Mary and tell him that Larry Krueger sent you. All right, Niners and Raiders practice in Las Vegas outside in the heat. There'll be morning workouts, but the Niners and Raiders doing the joint practice deal in advance of their preseason game, the first preseason game for both teams, Sunday in Las Vegas in the Dome. Now, Kyle Shanahan, I asked him this week, hey, you know what? Do you prefer the joint practices to preseason games? And he said he did. He doesn't like to see, his guys fight or things like that. That's kind of the downside of it, because sometimes, the intensity leads to fisticuffs and that kind of thing, and coaches don't want to waste time and potentially get guys hurt. But what he really likes is the fact that a preseason game, you don't know how it's going to go, and you don't know that you can get everything that you want to accomplish accomplished. You may want to see your guys in the red zone, but what if you don't get in the red zone? You may want to see your defense against certain looks, but what if you can't manufacture those looks? It's a game situation. So in a joint practice situation, the Niners can script what they want, the Raiders can script what they want, and both head coaches can get a lot more accomplished. And for that reason, Kyle Shanahan said that he actually thinks the joint practices are better. A better tool for evaluating the roster and developing the roster than the preseason games themselves. So I thought that was an interesting comment. All right, let's talk about the 10 things to watch for if you're going to be watching Niners and Raiders from Las Vegas on Thursday and Friday. First of all, let's talk about the setup. There's going to be 180 players on the field, 90 for the Niners, 90 for the Raiders. That means there'll be 2 team sessions going at once. It'll be the Niners offense against the Raiders defense on one field, and on the other field, it'll be the Raiders, the Niners defense against the Raiders offense. So which would you prefer to watch, the Niners offense or the Niners defense? I think most people want to see the 49er offense. So let's start there. I think the number one thing to watch for is Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy is the starting quarterback for the 49ers. He's had some good moments in camp. He's had some moments where, he struggled to throw the ball down the field. And we're going to see it now against a real defense or against a new defense, what it looks like. And we'll see if Brock can move the ball in the team sessions against this Raider defense, which is not one of the better defenses in the NFL. So that's number one. How does Brock look against a different defense? I think that's what most people, want to check out in Niners Raiders. I think the second thing that I would definitely want to see is the Raiders have an outstanding bookend tandem of edge rushers. Max Crosby's terrific. Chandler Jones is equally terrific. These guys are big-time guys. And we know Trent Williams is going to be on one side, but this will be a great test for Colton McKivitz to see if he's ready for week one. Week one, it's going to be T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith coming off the edge at Heinz Field. And the Niners are going to be tested by 2 outstanding speed rushers. Well, the Raiders can match that with Max Crosby and Chandler Jones. So let's see if McKivitz can stand up. And then after McKivitz is out, what are the Niners' backup offensive tackles? Who's going to be the swing tackle? Is it going to be Jalen Moore? Is it going to be Matt Pryor? Is it going to be Leroy Watson? Can any of these guys stand up to Max Crosby and Chandler Jones? So I think watching the Niner offensive tackles against the Raiders' elite edge rushers, I think, is number 2 on the list. Number 3 for me is Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk have absolutely lit it up all summer long. And the 49ers have some decent corners. Now it'll be a different matchup. It will be Deebo and Ayuk. Can they get open against the Raiders' top 3 corners, which are Marcus Peters, the veteran, Nate Hobbs, a young veteran, and the rookie Jacorian Bennett out of Maryland. Deebo and Ayuk have looked absolutely primed for career years in Niner camp. What do they look like against Peters, Hobbs, and Bennett? I'm really eager to see that because I have a feeling Debo and Ayuk are going to continue to dominate. I think the Niner corners are probably better than these Raider corners, and I think Debo and Ayuk are going to continue to show that they are on a very, very special plateau, and that doesn't matter if it's corners they know or corners they don't know. They're going to get open and make huge play after huge play. We've seen it all summer. So that's number 3. That's the third thing I'm looking for. The fourth thing is there going to be a fight? The one thing about Marcus Peters is he's very cocky. He's very verbal. He likes to get in guys' face. He considers himself a shutdown corner. And then you got Brandon Ayuk, who absolutely is he's brash and he's in your face and he's dominating. And both these guys have tons of pride. And to me, I can't see 2 days going by without Peters and Ayuk, locking it up. Ayuk is the kind of guy that makes you want to fight him. He's that good. He's that frustrating to defend right now. He's that talented of a wide receiver. And Peters is as volatile as it gets outside. So, I do expect we're going to see some Raiders fisticuffs. I know Shanahan doesn't want to see it, but I think at least once Ayuk and Peters will get into a little scrum in these 2 practices. On the other side of the ball, I want to see Mooney Ward and Devontae Adams. Ward knows Adams well. He's defended him before. I talked to him last year about Devontae. He's got nothing but respect for Devontae. But Mooney Ward is also cocky, and he's really, really confident right now. He's playing outstanding in camp. The Devontae Adams Mooney Ward battle is going to be worth watching both days of practice. Adams is an elite route runner, and he'll give you double moves and triple moves and twist you into a pretzel. Mooney Ward is a big, physical, in-your-face corner that likes to intimidate and smother receivers. I think that's going to be a great battle to watch. If you were sitting there in the stands and you wanted to put your binoculars on Mooney Ward, Devontae Adams, I wouldn't tell you shouldn't. All right, that's number 5. Number 6 on the list is the Niners linebackers are so deep and talented. You've got Debo, you've got Dre Greenlaw and Fred Warner, 2 star linebackers. Then you've got Jalen Graham, D. Winters, Marcelino McCrary-Ball. You got some really young, up-and-coming guys. And then you got a couple guys who are terrific special teamers and can be really good players from scrimmage. Demetrius Flannigan-Fowles and Oren Burks. Burks is listed as the 3rd starter in the base defense for the 49ers. Flannigan-Fowles is coming off a practice where he picked off 1 pass and nearly picked off 2. And I just think when you look at the Raider linebackers and the Raiders look at their own linebackers and then see that Flannigan-Fowles and Oren Burks potentially may not even make the 49er team, I could see the Raider general manager kind of sidling up to John Lynch and saying, hey, at the cutdown, before you put those guys on the waiver wire, how about you give me a call? I'll take Oren Burks. I'll take Demetrius Flannigan-Fowles. I'll take a Curtis Robinson. The back end of the Niner linebacking core, I think, might be good enough to start for the Las Vegas Raiders. So how does Flannigan-Fowles and Burks play? How do the Raider linebackers play by comparison? And does the Raider GM go to John Lynch and say, you know what? I want Oren Burks. Do not cut him. Don't make me pick him off waivers. I'll give you a 7th-round pick for Oren Burks. I'll give you a 6th or 7th-round pick for Demetrius Flannigan-Fowles. I could picture that. So I'm eager to see the Raider linebackers and how they play, and also Flannigan-Fowles and Burks, what they look like. I think that's one of the things I'd want to watch for. Number 7 on the list, the Niner tight ends, Cameron Latou. I think he's got a lot of pressure on him right now. Can he bounce back from what was his worst practice, the last practice, where he had 2 really bad drops, very close, consecutive drops early in practice. And Latou said, hey, no excuse. Got to get on the jugs gun. There's no excuse for dropping the ball. And the reality is that Charlie Warner and Ross Dwelly are proud veterans. And Braden Willis is having a good camp. and George Kittle is the number one tight end. And the 49ers will cut Cameron Latou if he doesn't get it going. So I think these are huge practices for Latou to show that he can be physical, he can be fast, he knows this offense, and he's not mentally fried by all of the newness and all the details that you got to learn as a rookie in a Kyle Shanahan offense. I think right now he's got better hands than what he's demonstrated thus far, and he's got to get it going. And what better time than in these joint practices? So that's number 7. Number 8 is, I think, a big one as well. Can the 49er backup defensive ends put pass rush pressure on Jimmy G and Brian Hoyer and Aiden O'Connell, the Raiders quarterbacks? We're talking about Taco Charlton, Cleveland Farrell, Austin Bryant, Robert Beal Jr., Dalen Hayes, Kerry Hyder. I mean, this is a battle royale, and I don't know that the 49ers, the 49ers don't have to choose these guys if these guys don't play well enough. And to me, that's a big question mark going into the year. How good are these backup defensive ends? Chris Kocurek is going to play these guys in a rotation, but they got to prove that they can play. To me, looking at Jordan Willis on the other side now with the Raiders, Charles Omenihu, Samson Ebukam, those guys were better than Charlton, Farrell, Bryant, and Beal. So it's time to see if Charlton, Farrell, Bryant, and Beal can put pressure on the Raider quarterbacks, because I've got my doubts. So there you go. That's number 8. Number 9 is, can J.P. Mason and Ty Davis-Price continue to impress? If there have been two guys on the 49ers that have just absolutely impressed practice after practice after practice, it's J.P. Mason and Ty Davis-Price. Both these guys are 225 to 230 pounds. Both of them are cutting like Pro Bowl running backs. And you're seeing these guys get to the edge against a very fast 49er defense. What do they look like against the Raiders? I'm really eager to see. I mean, both those running backs look like they're primed to be NFL starters. I mean, you got CMC, you got Elijah Mitchell. Mitchell will be out with the abductor, so he will not be practicing. But J.P. Mason and Ty Davis-Price, and to a lesser degree, Kalen Laburn, I want to see what those Niner rookie running backs or second-year backs in this case, I want to see what they look like. Laburn's a rookie, Davis-Price and Mason are second-year guys. Can they continue to dominate? Can they continue to impress? Can they continue to make these full-speed cuts and look like starting caliber NFL running backs? I think that's number 9 on the list. And number 10, I mean, we're not doing this in any particular order, but Trey Lance. Trey Lance, can he continue to play well? Can he continue to have this renaissance here in this training camp? Will he play well and build his trade value? Will the 49ers consider moving on from him? The Raiders are one of the teams that don't have a young quarterback on their roster that could be considered the future. What if Trey Lance really plays great in these two practices and really plays great in this preseason game? Would the Raiders suddenly come knocking in a trade situation? Remember, the 49ers can save $3.76 million on the cap if they wind up moving Trey Lance. I'm on record as saying I wouldn't do it unless I got a really good return for the young quarterback, because I think he's got a bright future. But we don't know what the 49ers think. We don't know how they look at Brock Purdy, Sam Darnold, Brandon Allen, and the whole quarterback position going forward. And we certainly don't know how they view Trey Lance, especially if he plays well and now they're getting day 2 pick offers for Trey Lance. What does that do? What does that do for the 49ers? Do they stay the course with Lance and keep him this year? Or do they recommit to Brock Purdy and take that $3.76 million in cap savings and apply it to many of their star players who are going to be due contracts in 2024? That's going to be interesting. How Trey Lance plays in these joint practices is going to be information that's going to get around the league. So there will be people there who have putting their eyes on Trey Lance for the first time. And if he plays well, the word will get out. And if he plays poorly, the word will get out. To me, this is a huge couple of days in Las Vegas for Trey Lance and his overall trade value. And we don't even know if the 49ers are even going to entertain the idea of trading him. But I think it's a major, major part of these two practices, how Trey plays against the Raiders. All right, there you go. There's their video on the 10 things to watch in the joint practices between the Niners and the Raiders. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of The Krug Show. Thanks to all you guys for supporting The Krug Show on YouTube.